Mogul Jack Thompson hires gas station attendant Mia Carter to pretend to be his wife for a week. He just didn't know that. What happens when a mogul, desperate to keep up appearances, invites an ordinary gas station attendant to pose as his wife for a week? Before continuing, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching the video from. And don't forget to subscribe. Jack Thompson stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling mirror in his penthouse suite, his fingers deftly adjusting the collar of his tailored tuxedo. The lavish space, adorned with modern art and the soft glow of ambient lighting, reflected the man he was on the outside, polished, powerful, and impeccably dressed. Yet, beneath that exterior lay a torrent of anxiety about the evening ahead. Tonight was the annual charity gala, a high-profile event that attracted the elite of society, and he knew he had to present a perfect image, one that required more than just a striking suit. "Jack, you can't go to the gala alone. Not this year," his publicist, Claire, insisted, her tone firm as she reviewed her notes on a clipboard. She was a whirlwind of energy, her impeccably styled hair bouncing as she paced the room. "You need a wife. Someone to play the part, to deflect any questions about your past, and to enhance your image." Jack sighed, running a hand through his tousled hair. "A wife, Claire? You know how ridiculous that sounds. I don't have time for a relationship, even a fake one. But you will be the talk of the town if you show up solo again. Remember last year? The tabloids had a field day with your mysterious bachelor status." She shot him a pointed look. "You don't want that publicity again, do you?" He knew she was right. The pressure of being a billionaire came with its own set of challenges, particularly when it came to maintaining an image that suited the expectations of society. But the thought of pretending to be in a relationship, even for one night, made him uneasy. He had built his empire on authenticity and hard work, not deception. "All right," he relented, his voice low, "but where am I supposed to find a perfect wife at the last minute?" Claire paused, her gaze settling on him with a glimmer of inspiration. "What about that gas station attendant you mentioned last week? The one who helped you when your car broke down?" She seemed genuine. Jack raised an eyebrow in disbelief. "Mia? She's not exactly the image I want to portray." "Maybe not, but she's real. She won't pretend to be someone she's not, and that's what you need. It will seem more believable than some glamorous model who doesn't know anything about you." Claire's confidence was infectious, but doubt still nagged at Jack. "Fine. I'll think about it," he conceded, though his mind was racing with the implications of such a decision. Little did he know that Mia Carter was exactly what he needed, even if he did not realize it yet. Meanwhile, at a rundown gas station on the outskirts of town, Mia Carter wiped her hands on her grease-stained uniform, watching the customer in front of her as he filled his tank. The fluorescent lights above buzzed softly, a soundtrack to her mundane reality. She had been working at this gas station for over 3 years, dreaming of a life that seemed just out of reach. The small-town atmosphere was suffocating, and every day felt like a repeat of the last. "Did you hear about the charity gala tonight?" An older customer chimed as he approached the cash register. "It's supposed to be a big deal this year. They're raising money for local schools." Mia smiled politely, though her heart sank at the thought of the opulence she would never experience. "Yeah, I heard about it. Must be nice." The customer nodded knowingly, his eyes crinkling with sympathy. "You never know. One day you might attend an event like that. Just keep working hard, and who knows what opportunities might come your way." She appreciated his encouragement, but in her heart, she felt trapped. The dreams of attending lavish parties, wearing elegant gowns, and mingling with influential people felt like a distant fantasy. Instead, she focused on the customers who came and went, their lives seemingly more thrilling than hers. As the shift wore on, Mia overheard snippets of conversations about the gala. People spoke of the attendees, the charity, and how the event could change lives. She couldn't help but feel a pang of longing in her chest, wishing for a life where she could make a difference, too. "Hey," Mia, her coworker, Sam, called from the back room. "You should really put yourself out there. You never know who might be looking for someone like you." "Someone like me?" Mia chuckled lightly, though the comment struck a chord. "You mean a gas station attendant? Please. Seriously, you're smart and kind. You could meet someone at that gala. Maybe even a millionaire? He grinned, winking at her. But Mia shook her head, dismissing the idea. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the gas station, Mia couldn't shake off the feeling of restlessness. She glanced at her phone, its screen lighting up with notifications that reminded her of the life she had yet to live. Just as she was lost in thought, the bell above the door chimed, drawing her attention. In walked Jack Thompson, his presence commanding and undeniably magnetic. Dressed in a casual yet stylish outfit, he seemed out of place in the gas station, but there was a sense of urgency in his gaze. "Excuse me," he said, his voice smooth and confident. "I need to speak with you." Mia's heart raced as she recognized him. Mr. Thompson? She felt a mix of excitement and disbelief that the billionaire was standing in front of her. "What can I help you with?" "I have a proposition," he began, glancing around to ensure they had a modicum of privacy. "I need someone to accompany me to a charity gala tonight. I know this sounds strange, but I need you to pose as my wife for the week." Mia blinked, her mind racing to process his words. "Me? Why would you want me?" He ran a hand through his hair, clearly agitated. "It's complicated. I need to maintain my image, and the media has been relentless about my personal life. If I show up without someone by my side, it will create a frenzy." Mia frowned, still unsure. "But I'm just a gas station attendant. I don't think I'm the right person for this." Jack leaned in closer, his voice earnest. "I'm offering you a substantial amount of money. Enough to change your life, Mia, just for a week. Think about it. You get to experience something entirely different, and I get the image I need." The weight of his offer hung in the air, and Mia felt her heart pounding. The thought of stepping into a world she had only dreamed of was intoxicating but terrifying. "How much?" she finally asked, curiosity piquing her interest. Jack's eyes flickered with hope. $10,000. Her breath caught in her throat. That kind of money could make a significant difference in her life. She could pay off bills, help her family, and maybe even consider going back to school. But could she really pretend to be someone she wasn't? "What do you say?" he pressed, his gaze unwavering. Mia hesitated, the conflict within her palpable. "I need to think about it." "Of course," Jack replied, his tone shifting to one of understanding. "But time is of the essence. I can wait outside while you decide." She watched him leave, her mind racing with possibilities. Could she really take this leap? The prospect of attending a gala, even if it was under false pretenses, was exhilarating. As the door swung closed behind him, she felt the weight of the decision hanging in the balance, knowing that whatever choice she made would change the course of her life forever. Mia stood in the modest living room of her small apartment, nervously fiddling with the hem of her shirt. The fluorescent light overhead flickered intermittently, casting shadows that danced across the walls, much like the tumult of emotions swirling within her. Just hours ago, she had agreed to step into the life of Jack Thompson's wife for a week, an impulsive decision that sent her heart racing with equal parts excitement and trepidation. As she glanced at her reflection in the mirror, she took a deep breath, attempting to steady her racing heart. The thought of mingling with high society made her stomach churn. "What am I doing?" she whispered to herself, shaking her head. She had spent her life in the unglamorous routine of a gas station attendant, and now she was preparing to enter a world of glitz and glamour, where she would be expected to play a role that felt entirely foreign to her. The sound of her phone vibrating on the kitchen counter broke her reverie. It was a message from Jack, detailing their plans for the evening. "Meet me at the exclusive restaurant downtown for a private dinner with some friends. Wear something nice." Mia bit her lip, her mind racing. Nice was a relative term. The only nice clothes she owned were jeans that fit well and a blouse she wore to her best friend's wedding. She quickly rummaged through her closet, pulling out the blouse and pairing it with a black skirt that had been gathering dust at the back. "This will have to do," she muttered, trying to convince herself that she could blend in. Later that evening, as Mia approached the lavish restaurant, her heart pounded in her chest. The exterior was adorned with golden embellishments, and the doorman wore a crisp suit, greeting patrons with an air of exclusivity. "What am I doing here?" she thought, her palms clammy. But before she could second-guess herself further, she spotted Jack standing near the entrance, his tall frame commanding attention. "Mia!" he called out, a genuine smile breaking across his handsome face. She felt a rush of relief and excitement as she walked toward him. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that accentuated his broad shoulders, his dark hair styled perfectly. "You look stunning," he complimented, his eyes sparkling with warmth. "Thanks," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't look too bad yourself." Jack chuckled, leading her inside. The interior of the restaurant was breathtaking, with chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, casting a golden glow over the elegantly set tables. Mia felt out of place, her heart racing as they walked past groups of well-dressed individuals who were already engaged in animated conversations. As they approached a private table at the back, Mia could see a few familiar faces from the charity circuit, people she had only seen on social media or in the news. Jack introduced her to his friends, each more successful and polished than the last. "Everyone, this is Mia, my wife," he said, a hint of pride in his voice. "Pleasure to meet you, Mia," one of the women exclaimed, her tone dripping with condescension. "So, what do you do?" Mia hesitated, searching for the right words. "I work at a gas station," she said, hoping that her honesty would deflect any judgment. "A gas station?" the woman repeated, her eyebrows raised in surprise. "How interesting." Jack stepped in smoothly. "Mia has an incredible sense of humor and a unique perspective on life. She keeps me grounded." He winked at her, and she felt a blush creep up her cheeks, grateful for his support. The dinner progressed with a mix of delicious food and lively conversations. Mia found herself surprisingly engaged, her nerves easing as she shared her thoughts on various topics. Despite the initial discomfort, her wit began to impress those around her. The laughter that ensued created a sense of camaraderie, and for the first time that evening, she felt a glimmer of belonging. "Jack, how did you two meet?" one of his friends asked, leaning in with curiosity. Mia shot Jack a glance, and he smiled back, a twinkle in his eye. "Funny story," he began, his voice smooth. "I was at a gas station, and Mia was working there. I was just passing through, but she caught my attention with her charm and quick wit." Mia couldn't help but smile, the warmth of the moment enveloping her. "I thought he was just a regular customer, but I quickly found out he was a billionaire in disguise," she added, earning a round of laughter from the group. As the evening wore on, Mia felt a sense of ease wash over her. She was no longer just an outsider looking in. She was part of this world, at least for the night. They moved to the patio after dinner, where the stars twinkled above and the city lights twinkled in the distance. Mia marveled at the beauty of it all, the moment feeling surreal. Jack leaned against the railing, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "You know, I didn't expect this dinner to go so well," he confessed, glancing at her. "You really surprised me." "I surprised myself," Mia admitted, laughing lightly. "I thought I'd just sit here, feeling awkward and out of place." "You're anything but awkward," Jack replied, his tone sincere. "You have a natural charm that draws people in. I can see why everyone was captivated by you tonight." Mia felt her heart flutter at his words, the atmosphere charged with an unspoken connection. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses fading into the background. The chemistry between them was palpable, and for a brief instant, Mia forgot about the pretense of their arrangement. "Is this what it's like to be part of your world?" she asked, breaking the silence. "Glamorous dinners, elegant events?" Jack chuckled softly. "It's not always as glamorous as it seems. There's a lot of pressure to maintain an image. But tonight was different. You made it fun." Mia turned to him, their eyes locking for a heartbeat longer than necessary. "I'm glad I could bring some fun into your life," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yeah, me too," Jack replied, his expression softening. The moment felt charged, as if the air around them crackled with electricity. But just as quickly, the spell broke, and they both stepped back, laughter echoing in the distance as a reminder of the reality they were navigating. "Let's head back inside," Mia suggested, her cheeks flushed. "I don't want to miss dessert." "Good idea," Jack agreed. Though the warmth of their moment lingered in the air between them, an unspoken promise of something more that neither was ready to acknowledge. As they returned to the lively atmosphere of the restaurant, the world around Mia felt vibrant and alive. Yet, beneath the surface of her excitement, a flicker of doubt lingered. This was all temporary, an act they were playing, but for now, she would savor the experience, allowing herself to feel the joy of the moment, even if it came with the weight of unspoken truths. The night of the gala arrived, and the luxurious venue shimmered under a canopy of twinkling lights. Mia Carter stood before the mirror in her elegant hotel suite, adjusting the delicate necklace that Jack had insisted she wear. The dress, a stunning deep red that hugged her form perfectly, felt like a costume, beautiful yet foreign. She couldn't shake the feeling of being an imposter, a gas station attendant pretending to be the wife of a billionaire. "Mia, you look incredible," Jack's voice broke her reverie as he entered the room, his dark suit tailored to perfection. His eyes sparkled with admiration as they took in her reflection. "I can't believe how stunning you are." "Thanks," she replied, a nervous smile creeping onto her face. "I just hope I can pull this off. It feels like I'm about to walk into a fairy tale, but I'm just me." "Just be yourself," he reassured her, stepping closer. "You're doing great. Remember, we're in this together." His presence was calming, and Mia found comfort in his words, even as her heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. As they arrived at the gala, the grandeur of the place was overwhelming. The entrance was adorned with lavish floral arrangements, and the sound of laughter and clinking glasses filled the air. Jack took her hand, leading her through the crowd, and she felt a surge of adrenaline. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jack announced, his voice carrying over the din, "I'd like to introduce you to my beautiful wife, Mia Thompson." With that, the spotlight shifted to her, and she could feel the eyes of the elite upon her. A wave of disbelief washed over her. Was this really happening? "Welcome to the event, Mia," a woman in an extravagant gown said, extending her hand. "I'm Veronica, Jack's business partner. You must be so proud to be his wife." Mia's heart skipped a beat at the praise. "Thank you. It's an honor to be here," she replied, forcing a smile. The conversation flowed around her like a river, yet she felt like a small fish in a vast ocean. As the night progressed, Jack guided her through the crowd, introducing her to various guests, philanthropists, socialites, and influential figures. Each introduction felt like a test, and Mia did her best to engage, relying on the charm she'd honed while working at the gas station. "Tell me, Mia, how did you two meet?" a curious man in a sharp suit asked, his eyes glinting with interest. Mia hesitated for a moment, the weight of the lie pressing down on her. "We met at a charity event last summer," she said, creating a story on the spot. "I was volunteering, and Jack was one of the sponsors." "Ah, so you've always had a passion for helping others?" the man probed, clearly intrigued. "Yes, I believe we all have a responsibility to give back," she said, finding her footing. The conversation flowed, and soon she was sharing stories about her time volunteering, the warmth of her words surprising even herself. Jack stood beside her, a proud smile on his face, and for a moment, Mia felt a genuine connection between them. The glitz and glamour faded away, and the two of them were simply two people sharing a moment of truth amidst the chaos of the gala. Later, they found a quieter corner of the venue, a small balcony overlooking the city lights. The air was cool, a gentle breeze tousling Mia's hair as she leaned against the railing. Jack joined her, his expression contemplative. "Can you believe this?" he asked, gesturing to the scene below, a sea of lights twinkling against the night sky. "It's surreal." "It really is," Mia agreed, her heart full. "I never thought I'd be here, dressed like this, pretending to be someone I'm not." "You're not pretending, Mia. You fit in seamlessly," Jack replied, turning to face her. "You've captivated everyone with your authenticity. They don't see the gas station attendant. They see a woman who can hold her own in any company." "Maybe," she mused, her gaze drifting to the horizon, "but I can't help feeling like a fraud. I'm not part of this world." "Neither am I," he said suddenly, his voice low and earnest. "I've built this life, but sometimes it feels like a cage. I'm surrounded by people who care more about status than substance. With you, I can breathe. Mia looked at him, surprised by the vulnerability in his eyes. What do you mean? I mean that you remind me of what's real, he confessed. You have this light about you that draws people in. I've been so focused on my empire that I forgot what it's like to connect with someone without the weight of expectation. His words resonated deeply within her. I know what you mean. Working at the gas station, I meet all kinds of people, some kind, some not. But it's the genuine interactions that make it worthwhile. Jack stepped closer, their eyes locking in an unspoken understanding. Let's make the most of this night, then. Just you and me. No pretense. As they shared stories, laughter, and dreams, the world faded away. Mia found herself enchanted by his tales of growing up in a modest family, the struggles he faced before amassing wealth. He spoke of the pressure of expectations and the loneliness that often accompanied success. I thought money would solve everything, he said, running a hand through his hair. But it only brought more problems. People want something from me, and it's hard to know who truly cares. I get that, Mia replied softly. I've seen it in my own life. People often judge others based on what they have, not who they are. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, and Mia felt a warmth blooming in her chest. For the first time, she saw Jack not just as the billionaire he was perceived to be, but as a man grappling with his own insecurities. However, as they stepped back into the main room, the atmosphere shifted. A tall, elegant woman approached, her gaze fixed on Jack. Jack, it's so good to see you, she exclaimed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. And you must be Mia. I've heard so much about you. Mia's smile faltered as the woman's eyes danced between them, curiosity evident. Thank you, Mia managed, feeling the weight of scrutiny. Oh, Jack, the woman continued, a playful tone in her voice. I was just telling someone how much fun you had with Rebecca last year. You two made quite the couple. Mia's heart dropped. She could see Jack's expression shift, a flicker of discomfort crossing his face. The mention of Rebecca hung in the air like an uninvited guest, and the laughter around them faded into an awkward silence. Rebecca was just a phase, Jack stammered, his jaw tightening. Mia is my wife now. We're very happy together. Mia forced a smile, but inside, doubts began to creep in. Was she merely a replacement for someone who had once held Jack's heart? The thought gnawed at her, and the ease of their earlier conversation felt miles away. Oh, of course. Just curious, the woman said, her tone light, but Mia could sense the underlying tension. You two look so lovely together. As the woman walked away, Mia felt Jack's gaze on her, searching for reassurance. But all she could think about was how easily the past could overshadow their present. Jack, Mia started, but he cut her off. Let's not dwell on that, he said, his voice firm yet tinged with frustration. She doesn't know anything about us, doesn't she? Mia replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I can't help but feel like I'm just a stand-in for someone else. No, that's not true, he insisted, his eyes intense. What we have is real. Don't let her words get to you. But as they continued through the gala, Mia felt the weight of their situation more than ever. The growing bond between them felt fragile, as if a single breeze could shatter it. And as they navigated the rest of the evening, she couldn't shake the feeling that their week together was teetering on the edge of uncertainty, each moment filled with both hope and doubt. As the evening wore on, the echoes of laughter and clinking glasses from the gala still danced in the air, but the atmosphere had shifted significantly for Jack and Mia. They stood outside the lavish venue, the night sky a deep indigo sprinkled with stars, the distant sounds of the party fading behind them. The tension between them simmered, palpable and uncomfortable. I can't believe you let them talk about your past like that, Mia said, crossing her arms tightly over her chest. The cool night breeze sent a shiver through her, but the chill she felt was far more than just the temperature. It was like I was invisible, like I was just a prop you used to make yourself look good. Jack ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair, his expression a mix of frustration and regret. That's not fair, Mia. You know how these events are. My past is part of who I am, and I can't change that. But I didn't mean to make you feel like you didn't belong. Mia took a step back, her heart racing, not only from the argument but from the emotions that had been building inside her since their first conversation. "You don't get it. I'm not just a pretty face on your arm. I wanted to be part of this with you, not just play a role. But it feels like you don't take this seriously at all." Jack's jaw clenched as he struggled to maintain his composure. "That's not true. I hired you to help me, yes, but that doesn't mean I don't value our time together. I never expected to feel this way about you." "Then what is this?" she shot back, her voice rising. "Is this just a game to you? A week of pretending, and then what? You go back to your perfect life, and I go back to pumping gas and dreaming bigger." Jack stepped closer, his eyes intense and searching. "I didn't want it to be just a game. I didn't know I would feel so connected to you. I thought I could separate the two, my public life and whatever this is between us." "This?" Mia laughed bitterly, the sound echoing in the stillness of the night. "You think calling it this makes it any less of a mess? I feel like I'm in a world I don't belong to, and you're just playing along, thinking everything will go back to normal when the week ends." "Mia, please," he pleaded, frustration mingling with a hint of desperation. "I'm trying to understand you. I'm trying to understand what's happening between us. I never wanted to hurt you." She looked up at him, her heart pounding. "And yet, here we are. You're just a billionaire with a perfect life, and I'm just a girl from a gas station. What do we even have in common besides this ridiculous arrangement?" Jack reached out, his hand brushing against her arm, and she flinched at the contact, but he didn't pull away. "You're wrong," he said softly, his voice low and sincere. "We have more in common than you think. I might be rich, but I'm just as lost in my own way. I'm tired of the expectations, the obligations. I thought this week could be an escape, but it turned into something much deeper." Mia's resolve wavered as she looked into his eyes. The warmth of his gaze began to melt the ice that had formed around her heart. "You think I'm lost? I'm just trying to survive. I have bills to pay, a family that depends on me. I can't afford to get swept up in some fantasy with you, Jack. It's not real life." "It can be," he insisted, his voice gaining strength. "We can make it real if we let ourselves. I don't want to go back to my old life without you. This week has shown me something I didn't think I could find again." Mia's breath caught in her throat as she felt the weight of his words. Was it possible that he genuinely cared? But the doubts lingered, gnawing at her thoughts like a persistent itch. And when the week is over, when the cameras are gone and the gala is just a memory, Jack stepped closer, his breath warm against her skin. "Then we figure it out, together. But first, we have to be honest about our feelings. No more pretending." Mia hesitated, her heart racing as she felt a surge of emotions. "Honest? You want honesty?" "Yes," he urged, his voice steady. "Tell me how you really feel." She inhaled deeply, the words threatening to spill from her lips. "I feel like I'm in over my head. I've never been with someone like you, Jack. Someone who has everything. I thought this would be an adventure, but now it feels like a trap. I'm scared." "Scared of what?" he asked, genuinely curious. "Scared that you'll wake up one day and realize this was all a mistake, that I'm just some girl you hired to play a part. And then what? I'll be left with nothing." Jack's gaze softened, and he took another step closer, closing the distance between them. "Mia, you are so much more than a part in a play to me. You challenge me, make me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. You're not just some girl from a gas station. You're a person I admire and respect. I don't want to lose that." The tension in the air shifted, a tentative understanding beginning to blossom. Mia's heart pounded as she searched his face for any sign of insincerity, but all she saw was determination and something deeper, a flicker of hope. "Maybe we can try to enjoy the time we have left," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let's stop pretending, at least for now." Jack smiled, the warmth in his eyes returning. "I'd like that. Let's make the most of it." As the night deepened, they found a hesitant truce, and the argument faded into the background. They spoke of lighter topics, their laughter mingling with the cool night air, slowly peeling away the layers of tension that had built up between them. Later that night, as they settled into a quiet corner away from the party, Mia felt a weight pressing against her chest. Perhaps it was time to share another truth, one that had haunted her for years, a secret she had kept hidden from everyone, including herself. "Jack," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "there's something I need to tell you, something I haven't shared with anyone." He turned to her, his expression serious, the laughter fading from his eyes. "What is it?" Mia took a deep breath, her heart racing as she prepared to divulge the truth. "My family, they've been struggling financially. My dad lost his job a couple of years ago, and we've been trying to keep our heads above water ever since. I'm working at the gas station to help pay the bills, but it's not enough. I'm scared of what will happen if we can't keep up." Jack listened, his expression softening with empathy. "Mia, I had no idea. I'm so sorry you're going through that." "It's okay," she shrugged, trying to dismiss the gravity of her situation. "I've learned to deal with it, but it's hard, you know? It feels like I'm constantly fighting just to keep us afloat, and sometimes I wonder if I'll ever be able to escape it." "I can't imagine how difficult that must be," he said, his voice sincere. "But you're stronger than you realize. And if there's ever anything I can do to help, please let me know." Mia looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity, and found it there. The vulnerability she had seen earlier returned, and she felt a bond between them that went beyond their arrangement. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their confessions hanging in the air, but there was a newfound understanding between them. Jack reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers, and she didn't pull away. Instead, warmth spread through her, igniting a flicker of hope she had almost lost. In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of a night filled with glitz and glamour, they began to embrace the reality of their connection, a bond forged from secrets, struggles, and unexpected tenderness. As they sat together under the stars, the night felt different, as if the world around them had faded away, leaving only the promise of what could be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue across the sprawling city, Mia Carter found herself seated at Jack Thompson's lavish penthouse dinner table, adorned with flickering candles and an exquisite array of gourmet dishes. This was no ordinary evening. It was a moment suspended in time, where the line between reality and pretense began to blur. The week had flown by, and despite the initial uncertainty, emotions had woven a complex tapestry between them, one that neither had anticipated. Mia glanced at Jack, who was seated across from her, his piercing blue eyes reflecting the candlelight. He looked every bit the billionaire he was, yet there was a vulnerability about him that she had come to cherish. The previous nights had revealed layers of his personality, and as they shared stories, laughter, and even a few heart-wrenching confessions, she felt an undeniable connection. But beneath the surface, a nagging thought lingered. This was all a facade, a role they were playing. "Do you remember the first night at the gala?" Jack asked, breaking the comfortable silence. He leaned forward, a hint of mischief dancing in his eyes. "You had that look on your face like you just walked into a lion's den." Mia chuckled, recalling the overwhelming sea of extravagant gowns and tailored suits. "I thought I was going to trip over my own heels and land right at your feet. I felt so out of place." Jack smiled, his gaze steady. "You held your own better than anyone there. I was genuinely impressed." The compliment warmed her, but the weight of their arrangement loomed heavier than ever. "You know, Jack," she began cautiously, "I've been thinking, we're having a great time, but this is all temporary. Once the week is over, we'll go back to our lives." Jack's expression shifted, a flicker of something unreadable crossing his face. "Is that how you see it?" His tone was softer, almost vulnerable. "I thought we had something real." Mia's heart raced at his words. "We do, but you have your world, and I have mine. I'm just a gas station attendant. You're you." This was a favor, and I've enjoyed it more than I ever thought possible. A silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken words. Jack's fingers drummed lightly on the table, a sign of his growing agitation. "Mia, I don't care about the titles or the money. What matters is how I feel when I'm with you." She looked away, unable to meet his gaze. "But can you really mean that? We've only known each other for a week." You're supposed to be pretending. Maybe I was pretending at first, Jack admitted, his voice low. But every moment we've spent together has felt real to me. I don't want to go back to the way things were. Mia's breath hitched. She wanted to believe him, to dive into the emotions swirling between them, but the fear of the inevitable end held her back. I don't want to get hurt, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Or hurt you. This was never meant to be anything more than a week. Jack's face hardened, and for a moment, Mia saw a flash of frustration. You think I don't feel the same fear? You think I haven't considered what happens when this week is over? Before she could respond, his phone buzzed on the table, disrupting the tension. He glanced at it, his expression shifting instantly, a mix of annoyance and dread. It's my ex, he said, his voice tight. I'll just... Jack, wait, Mia interrupted, her heart sinking. You should take it. If it's important, I can wait. He hesitated, the internal battle evident on his face. No, Please, she urged softly. I'll be right here. With a reluctant sigh, Jack answered the call, his voice dropping to a lower, more formal tone. Hello? Yes, I'm here. What is it? Mia watched as his demeanor changed, every trace of warmth fading. She could hear the clipped responses, the way he tried to keep the conversation professional and detached. But the tension was palpable. The room felt colder, and she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was being discussed was drawing them further apart. After a few minutes, Jack ended the call and rubbed his temples, frustration etched across his features. I'm sorry about that, he said, the warmth in his voice having vanished. It was complicated. Do you want to talk about it? She offered, though her heart was heavy. He shook his head, his jaw clenched. Not really. It's just the past trying to creep back in when I'm finally trying to move forward. Mia wanted to reach out, to bridge the gap that had suddenly widened between them, but she felt an insurmountable distance. The evening that had started with laughter and lightness had become shrouded in uncertainty. Maybe we should just... Mia, please don't say it, he interrupted, his voice suddenly sharp. I don't want to end this. Not now. His intensity caught her off guard, and for a moment, she saw the man beneath the billionaire facade, the man who feared losing something he had only just begun to grasp. But what are we, Jack? She asked, her voice trembling. What happens when the week is over? I don't know, he admitted, his shoulders slumping, but I want to find out. I want to explore whatever this is between us. Tears prickled at the corners of Mia's eyes, the weight of their situation crashing down on her. But it's built on a lie. I can't be your pretend wife forever. Jack reached across the table, his hand covering hers. It doesn't have to be a lie. We can make it real if we want to. Mia's heart ached at his words, the possibility of a future shimmering tantalizingly close yet painfully out of reach. I need to think about it, she finally said, pulling her hand away gently. I can't help but feel like I'm not enough for you. Jack's expression hardened again. That's not true. You have no idea how much you mean to me. But beneath the surface, Mia felt the cracks forming. As the evening wore on, the romance that had blossomed so beautifully began to wilt, overshadowed by the specter of reality. When they finally retired to the living room, the atmosphere was thick with unspoken tension. Mia sat on the plush sofa, her mind racing. Jack poured them both a glass of wine, but she barely touched it, the rich red liquid swirling in the glass reflecting the turmoil inside her. I didn't mean to ruin our evening, Jack said quietly, his eyes searching hers. I wanted this night to be special. It still can be, she replied, forcing a smile. We can make the most of it, right? But as they talked, the laughter and warmth faded, replaced by an underlying sadness. They both knew that time was running out, and soon, they would need to face the truth of their situation. Later that night, as Mia lay in the plush guest room, she stared at the ceiling, her heart heavy with confusion. She had never imagined that a week could change her so profoundly, yet here she was, caught between a beautiful dream and an unavoidable reality. The next morning, the sun broke through the curtains, shining brightly into the room. Mia lay in bed, torn between the desire to stay and the aching certainty that she would have to leave. As she packed her belongings, the weight of her decision pressed down on her, suffocating her with every passing moment. Her heart raced as she thought of Jack, the man who had shown her a world she had only seen from afar, and the affection that had developed in such a short time. But she couldn't shake the feeling that she was only a temporary distraction in his life, a fleeting moment of happiness before he returned to his reality, leaving her behind like a forgotten dream. With a heavy heart, she finished packing and took one last look around the elegant room, filled with memories of their time together. She knew it was time to go, but as she stepped out into the hallway, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was leaving a part of herself behind. Mia awoke with the sun streaming through the thin curtains of her temporary room. The warmth of the light felt comforting, but it was overshadowed by the heaviness in her heart. She glanced at the clock, realizing it was already past 8. Her stomach turned at the thought of leaving the beautiful chaos of Jack's world behind. The memories of the past week flooded her mind. The gala, the laughter, the moments they shared that felt so real, yet so fragile. She sat up, her heart racing, and reached for her phone. Scrolling through pictures from the event, each snapshot captured a flicker of joy, but the weight of reality pressed down on her. It was time to go. As she prepared to leave, Mia noticed an envelope on the bedside table. It was unmarked, but her instincts told her it was from Jack. With trembling hands, she opened it, her breath hitching in her throat as she unfolded the paper inside. The neat, elegant handwriting was unmistakably his. "Mia, I know I messed up last night. The call from my past brought up feelings I thought I had buried, and I took it out on you. You deserve so much more than I gave you. The truth is, you've changed me in ways I can't fully express. I had planned to ask you a question that would have changed everything for us, but I let fear cloud my judgment instead. I love you, Mia, more than I thought possible in such a short time. I want you to be my real partner, not just for this week, but for a lifetime. Please don't leave. Let's talk. I need you to know how I feel. Jack." Mia's heart raced as she read the words. Love. The word echoed in her mind. She had not prepared for this, had convinced herself that their connection was merely a product of their unusual circumstances. But as she sat there, the letter in her hands, she felt the truth of his words settle in her chest. Tears welled in her eyes, and she cursed the vulnerability that threatened to spill over. She wanted to believe him, to believe in a future that felt so unlikely just hours ago. With renewed determination, she quickly dressed and grabbed her bag. The gas station was only a short drive away, and she hoped Jack would still be there, that he would want to fight for her just as much as she wanted to fight for him. Her heart pounded as she navigated the familiar roads, the scenery blurring past her. When she arrived at the gas station, the familiar sight of the old building brought both comfort and anxiety. She stepped inside, her eyes darting around for Jack. He wasn't there. Moments passed, stretching into eternity as she scanned the area, her heart sinking with each empty second. Just as she was about to turn and leave, the bell above the door jingled. In walked Jack, his face a mixture of relief and panic as his eyes locked onto hers. "Mia," he called, rushing toward her, his expression softening as he closed the distance between them. "I thought you were gone." I almost left," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I got your letter." Jack's eyes widened, hope igniting within him. "You did? I didn't think you'd come back after everything." "I didn't know what to think," she paused, gathering her thoughts. "But I know I felt something real between us, Jack. Her voice faltered as she searched for the right words. "I was scared." He took a step closer, his gaze intense and sincere. "I'm scared too, but I don't want to lose you. What we had this week, it wasn't just an act for me. It was real, Mia. You made me feel alive again." Mia's heart swelled as she looked into his eyes, seeing the vulnerability and sincerity that had drawn her to him in the first place. "You're not just a billionaire, Jack. You're someone who cares about making a difference. I've seen that in you. And I guess I was afraid that once the week was over, you'd go back to your world, and I'd be just another fleeting moment." "No," he said firmly, reaching out to take her hands in his. "I want to change my world, and I want you by my side. I was going to propose to you at dinner last night, but then everything fell apart. I should have been honest about my feelings then." Mia's breath caught in her throat. "You wanted to propose?" Jack nodded, determination etched on his face. "I still want to. Will you give me a chance to show you how serious I am? Let's not let this end like this. I want to build something real with you, Mia." The air between them thickened with unspoken promises and possibilities. Mia felt an overwhelming rush of emotion. "I want that too, Jack. I really do." "Then stay," he implored, his grip tightening around her hands. "Let's forget about the past and forge a new path together. I know it's a lot to ask, but I believe we can create something beautiful." With a shaky breath, Mia nodded, her heart lifting as hope blossomed within her. "Okay, I'll stay." Jack's face broke into a relieved smile, and in that moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift. "You won't regret it. I promise to be the partner you deserve." He pulled her into a tight embrace, and Mia melted against him, feeling safe and cherished. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, the chaotic world outside faded away. The gas station, the past week, all the challenges that lay ahead. None of it mattered as long as they faced it together. Their imperfect, unexpected love had found a way to flourish amidst the uncertainties, and now they were ready to embrace whatever came next. "Let's make this week just the beginning," Mia said softly, pulling back to look into Jack's eyes. "We'll figure things out as we go." "Together," Jack affirmed, his voice filled with conviction. "Always together." As they stepped outside into the crisp morning air, Mia felt the thrill of possibility surge within her. She was ready to leave behind the shadows of her past and step into a future filled with love and hope, with Jack by her side. Together, they would write their own story, one that began with a chance encounter and blossomed into something infinitely more profound.